This was my first ever real lesson on a horse named Toby. Yes, I'm wearing tennis shoes, don't judge. All I did this day was walk and learn how to control with my legs. I stopped riding at this barn because they were never open and it was really far away. I also only got to have one lesson here within like a month. After that, I moved to another barn that was still pretty far away, but I think I rode at this barn for the longest. This was my first posting trot and it's still pretty bad, but I was just a beginner. I think I had 2 or 3 English lessons until I got interested in Western riding. The chestnut in most of these is named Lilituff, and he's one of my favorites. Here's one of my first Western lessons at this barn. This is my first time loping or cantering, and I was so bouncy. The reason I'm holding onto the horn in this is because I almost ran into someone before and it looked like this. This was a bit later on, and it's a picture of me riding my favorite horse, Pixie. And here my canter is getting a bit better, but it's still really bouncy. Later on, I had to stop riding here because it got really hard to get to lessons. After a whole 6 months without lessons, I moved to the barn I'm at now. This is my first lesson at this barn. For several months, I was learning Western pleasure on a horse named Hugs. This is my first time lunging, and I remember being so scared right here because I thought he was bolting. I don't know why, it was just scary to me. A while later, my trainer asked me what I wanted to start learning, and I said barrel racing. So this is my first lesson on Ava, and she's a barrel horse. While the farrier was visiting Ava for one lesson, I got to ride Cinch, and yeah, don't ask. Exactly 1 year after my last lesson at my old barn, I got to visit again. This is me trying to put a saddle on. I remember me thinking Ava's trot was so bouncy because I was really bad at slowing horses down, but I really like this picture. This was my first time being lunged because Ava was being a brat in this lesson, and I was just not a good rider. And here's my first time loping at this barn, and I remember I relied on her mouth a whole lot, and I got called out for that, so thanks whoever told me that because it helped. I'm not even kidding, my trainer decided that I was really bad at sitting a trot, so I had to ride bareback. It was fun. This was my first time cantering the first barrel, and it was pretty bad, but it was my first time, so. Oh, this is when I started riding Cinch, and I don't remember what it was, but it was sometime in November, I think. This was my first lesson in the barrel saddle, and I really like this picture, just Cinch looks mortified. This was the first time we attempted to canter the pattern, I think, and obviously I wasn't ready, but, you know, and all of my falls are so embarrassing, but I thought I was a part of the cool kids because I fell, and my trainer looks, yeah, you can tell. So after that, we kind of just stuck to trotting the pattern and practicing that. Later on, we started cantering the last barrel. And this is a picture of me and my riding friend. I just decided to add that. And I really love the way I sat this canter. Like every single lesson, it got better and better, like the way I cantered the last barrel. And this was probably the best one yet, because I tightened my rein and I still sat it really well. After that, we moved on to cantering the first 2 barrels, and that went on the whole lesson, and then we were both sweaty after. And this was the first time I was ever on a horse that bucked. I didn't really feel it at all. And this is my next lesson. We worked on doing lead changes at the end, and I'm really proud of this one. I'm only showing the last barrel to this one because it looked so bad. My dad called me a drunk driver and my trainer called me a cook noodle. And I was so mad at this lesson because I sat an amazing canter and my dad didn't get it on video. And I think it was after that lesson that I turned 13, so I got to ride at my old barn, and I rode a Arabian saddlebred cross. And this was my first time actually cantering the pattern, and I did the left barrel first because, my trainer wanted me to. But we attempted to canter the whole pattern a lot of times before this, but it never really worked. And I had to screen record this from another video because I lost the other one. A lot of times after that, we just worked on cantering the end of the rail, cantering circles, because you know how when you're riding horses, there's just kind of ups and downs in your confidence and your riding, and my cantering was getting worse for some reason, so I lost some of my videos. This is the only one I have. Like I said, I lost some of the videos, so these really good canters were several lessons after that lesson. And I think my next lesson was my second time cantering the pattern because my cantering was getting a lot better. So I'm really proud of that first turn, and then the second turn just got all floppy and bad.